In the Lobos, who would prevail? Well, in the first quarter, New Mexico quarterback Austin Apodaca on the read option keeps it himself to the sidelines and right past the pylon for the Lobos touchdown. But who would get the win? We will have that answer in just a moment. But first, we start with the UTEP Miners. We always say we want to watch UTEP play with the big boys, and they sure got their chance. UTEP visiting the 11th-ranked Texas Longhorns, but without their starting quarterback in Zach Greenlee. Greenlee suffered a slightly torn MCL, a slightly separated shoulder, and a broken finger last week, and he still finished the game. But he was a no-go last night, and instead, Kavika Johnson getting his first career start. And what a tough matchup he had. Coach Kugler and Charlie Strong chatting before the game, and hey, who's that? Kevin Durant cheering on his alma mater, and after a first UTEP 3-and-out, the Longhorns' first drive nearly perfect. Shane Buechele to Ja'Cory Warwick for the first touchdown of the game. But take a closer look. UTEP's Dante Levelette forces the fumble into the end zone, so it would actually be a touchback for the Miners. UTEP, though, another 3-and-out, which led to this. Just a 3-play drive as Buechele, the lob at the pylon, and Gerard Hurd comes down with his first touchdown as a Longhorn. Texas would go up 10 until Aaron Jones. It doesn't matter the team. He's going to run all over you no matter what. 51 yards up the gut to cut the gap to 3, but that was the only action the Miners would see in the end zone. But hey, at least Pater Pete is enjoying the action. Later on, Warwick back in the end zone, but this time it's going to count. Again in the corner and holds on and taps the right foot in time for the score and the 13-point lead. So in the second half, it only gets worse for the Miners. Buechele with an absolute dime over the secondary to Dorian Leonard III for 46 yards. Kavika Johnson only threw for 42 yards compared to Buechele's 244 and 4 TDs. UTEP only 10 first downs all night as they lose badly, 41-7. As for the New Mexico State Aggies, they aren't playing a top 25 nightmare, but they did have their hands full last night against rival New Mexico. The Aggies haven't won the Rio Grande rivalry since 2011, but no better shot than snapping that 4-year drought right at home in Las Cruces. The Aggies with another rivalry matchup the second week in a row. So in the first quarter, look at these moves. UNM's Terrion Gibson cutting in, cutting out, not even touched as he trots into the end zone for the 7-0 lead. And then more Lobos, but this time it's quarterback Austin Apodaca. Does this play look a little familiar? On the read option, keeps it himself, a wide open lane, and there it is, over the pylon for the second score of the night. But after 3 NMSU field goals, the end zone never sounded better. Tyler Rogers to Jaleel Scott on the slant for the first Aggie touchdown of the game as they went into the half down just 2. So jump ahead to the third. It's the run game again. Lobos with more than 220 yards on the ground as Richard McQuarley right up the middle. No problem as they add another 7 for the 9-point lead. But later in the fourth, Aggies in the red zone and Rogers with the back shoulder throw. And Greg Hogan secures it for the 1-point lead. So the Aggies then on defense step up when they needed to the most. They stopped the Lobos on 4th and long right here to secure the win. And Tyler Rogers, turnover free as he threw for 2 touchdowns, 222 yards as the Aggies topped their rival in a tight one, 32-31, the final score. So NMSU finally gets revenge over the Lobos at home. And not only was it a big win over the rival, but a huge win for the program to avoid starting the year at 0-2. ABC7 Sports Director Trevor Thompson was at the game from start to finish, and he has more. Trevor, take it away. The Chihuahuas, they are not in unfamiliar territory. A trip to the postseason for the second straight year, but facing a tough opponent in Tacoma. The Dogs were just 5-11 against the Rainiers in the regular season. The playoffs, though, a brand new chapter, and the Dogs showed that last night. The Dogs were able to pull off the 2-run deficit and make the comeback a success to eliminate the Rainiers from the playoffs. And with that, the Chihuahuas will advance to the second round, and we will know their opponent in the next couple of days. All right, so now it's time to get to the rest of college football. And I don't think there was any better play yesterday, last week, maybe even last season that'll top this play right here. Central Michigan, one final chance to upset Oklahoma State. No time left on the clock. Cooper Rush heaves a prayer to Jesse Kroll, who laterals it to Corey Wills, sprinting to the opposite side of the end zone. And he gets in for the score. What just happened. Rush with 361 yards through the air and 4 TDs on the day, and he'll never get a better one than that right there. Central Michigan shocks OSU 30-27, although the refs later said this play never should have happened, as Central Michigan was wrongly awarded an untimed down after an intentional grounding penalty from the Cowboys, which resulted in a turnover on downs. But moving right along, 15th ranked TCU with 14 straight home wins, the third longest active win streak in the FBS, all on the line against Arkansas. Late fourth quarter, tied at 28. TCU's Kenny Hill to Emmanuel Porter for the go-ahead score, but it was called back for a penalty for illegal touching, so they would opt for the field goal, but it's blocked by Dan Skipper, and this would actually head to double overtime. So in double OT, 3rd and goal, Arkansas's Austin Allen on the quarterback keeper hits a wall of TCU defenders, but he won't be denied. Pushed through for the winning touchdown. Austin, 3 TDs on the evening and 0 turnovers as they upset TCU 41-38 in double overtime. And this right here is a one-of-a-kind sight. Virginia Tech taking on 17th ranked Tennessee at Bristol Motor Speedway. And talk about nerves, playing in front of 156,000 fans, breaking the college football attendance record. The Vols trailed early in this one until Joshua Dobbs found Juwan Jennings right there for the 5-yard score. And then later in the second, Dobbs with another one to Josh Malone for the 38-yard score, and he's not even phased. It's like he knew that was coming all along. Dobbs only threw for 91 yards, but had 5 total TDs on the night as the Vols topped the Hokies 45-24. And the 50-year anniversary of the famous Howard's Rock as second-ranked Clemson welcomes Troy to Death Valley, and good luck. In the second quarter, Deshaun Watson had 2 INTs on the afternoon, but you can't forget about his 3 touchdowns, finding Hunter Renfrow, who makes the nice catch for the score, and take another look as he's able to get his right foot down right there for the 10-3 score. Troy would keep this close all game, but Watson showed up when it mattered. Early fourth off the fake. He finds defensive lineman Christian Watkins for the 1-yard score. Watson, 292 through the air as they hold off the upset 30-24. The 16th ranked Texas A&M ladies in town taking on UTEP for the volleyball Borderland Invitational, but it was the Aggies from start to finish. In the first set, UTEP leading, but A&M, they picked up the pace. A short rally until Caitlin Blake blocks the UTEP spike for the point, and then later, this time, we actually have a pretty solid rally between both teams, but it's finished off with a vicious kill by Ashley Reeser right here. A&M dominates UTEP in 3 straight sets. And that is a look at sports. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.